just in all seriousness, thank you both, because you have like really you came at the right point in this journey, and you've really given me the direction I need.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode. Cool. Welcome everybody to happy 2023, by the way. It's January now, isn't it? We're not recording this in November. No, not at all. This is January 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. Did you have a good Christmas, Jace?
It was a brilliant Christmas, thank you.
How did you enjoy the King's speech?
The King's speech was different than the Queen's speech.
It was, yeah.
Said all the same sort of things, to be fair, but it was good. It was good.
It was very good. I hope you all enjoyed a very, very good Christmas and a Happy New Year. This doesn't feel wrong at all. Anyway, coming up in like a month or two, is our 100th episode of this very podcast. And I mentioned this in our Christmas special last month. That didn't feel weird at all. I mentioned that we're going to be doing a live recording for our 100th episode. So if you would like to join us for that, it's completely free, and we're going to be recording it probably towards the end of February, beginning of March. You can head along to our website, which is bigidea.co.uk/100. I mentioned it on last month's episode. At the time, I hadn't even built the landing page. I have now built the landing page. It works. I've tested it and everything. How amazing is that? So there we go. Nice little kind of New Year's present for you, New Year's gift, that you can join us for the first ever and probably last ever live episode of the ALB podcast. Anyway, today's guest on the ALB podcast has described himself as a sound pair of ears. Tom Edwards is a dubbing mixer, yeah, and co-director of 529, which is a company that specialises in final post-production services for factual content, a phrase that I cannot say quickly without it sounding like I'm saying something I'm not meant to be saying. Factual content. Making shows such as the one show, Homes Under the Hammer and Cash in the Attic, sound amazing. So, no pressure whatsoever, Tom. Welcome to the LB podcast. Please make us sound good.
You got the wrong person there.
Sorry, Tom, we can't hear you. What was that?
Yeah. No, it'll be okay. I was going to use my really good mic, but I didn't want to show you guys up, so I'm just using the webcam microphone.
Fantastic.
I have to correct you, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I've never worked on Homes Under the Hammer.
Have you not?
No.
Oh. Have you not made them sound good?
Well, you can turn it up and down on the TV, I suppose, or change it. Depending on if you like that show or not. Right, that's my job. I'm never going to ever get a gig for them now.
Big mute button, that's all we need. Yeah, there you go. You just lost another gig. Well done.
Just lost a gig. There you
Fantastic.
Go.
So a question for you, because I'm very much a layman here. What does good sound like? Because I can imagine, I don't know, I would use cliched words like clean, crisp, clear. What do you do when you play with sound to tidy it up and make it sound better?
It's subjective. It's the very short answer. But from my point of view, I would say for what I do in my job as a dubbing mixer, it's to make everything intelligible, to make the dialogue come through, to try and get rid of any nasties like rustles, pops and clicks, to let the music breathe and have emotion, give emotion to the mix you're trying to do, and be poignant in the right places, to have sound effects where they are deemed necessary. And I consider my job as art, really, and sound. I'm not a very good visual person. I can't draw. I'm rubbish at taking photos, but I do consider consider I've been doing this a long time and I have a good ear, and I just want my sound to sound good. And the more rubbish the sound, or the more rubbish the source material I'm given, it's more of a challenge and more fun to me to make it sound the best it can.
So Podark wasn't one of yours then?
No, nor was Jamaica Inn. And that's the one that usually gets gets a lot of grief. Even today, people do refer to it. The famous mumbling.
Yeah.
People say. No, I'm a fan, and I suppose because mainly I do factual content, which isn't drama. I always believe that dialogue is key. It's the most important thing, and you build everything around that. Because I don't want people who watch my shows to moan that they can't hear it. Sound is something that usually is only noticed when it's crap or when people complain. People are quite complacent. I doubt there's ever been, someone at home watching a mix or watching a program with my mix on saying, "Oh God, that sounds good." They probably, more focused on what's going on in the pictures, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and not just in sound, but in TV production as a whole. It is a real collaborative industry with a wide range of people. I'm, at least in my role, I'm just a very small part of the chain at the end of it. Yeah, really, feel free to ask any more about sound if you want.
Yeah, for me, it's the reason why I've got a sound optimized on my TV, and I still put the subtitles on certain programs.
Well, that is an interesting fact, actually, that apparently I have to get my facts right, but that I think it's around 80% of people did a survey recently of younger people do have subtitles on TV, which is quite detrimental to what I do. But I could include myself in that. I'm always forever watching shows with subtitles if I'm at home, because either I don't want to wake everyone up because I have to turn it really loud just to hear the dialogue, or I just find it easier to watch TV shows with them. But I at least like to think, at least my contribution is that I learned from some very old school people in the industry, and I like to think that that's what I've taken from it is sound is important. I just think what would my late granddad say, who was hard of hearing and didn't never wore a hearing aid, and he always had the telly up really loud. So I think I like to think, try and give people who maybe elderly people a bit of a break, really.
Yeah, I can't think what we were watching. Go on, Jess.
I was just going to ask, well, what's the hardest sound to kind of get rid of? Because we've been very guilty in ours with dogs barking and hoovers going and things like that during some of our calls and things, John, isn't it? So I just wonder, what's the hardest kind of sound to get rid of, I guess, or to tidy up?
Ooh. Probably rustling is pretty bad. I've got a wave of different toys that you can put in and press buttons. Got one called De-Rustle, and that'll, it's got FBI algorithms in that will remove a lot of it. Sometimes hiss really annoys me a lot. There's sometimes you get like this really, like this really high frequency around like 12 kilohertz, and you put, and no matter what you do, I can't filter that out. And so it's usually the bits that I can't filter out that should annoy me. But I also think with what I do, that sound is never going to be perfect. When I approach a mix, I kind of accept that it's never going to be full and polished. It's been shot out on location. Sometimes like some stuff I do, like cooking programs, for instance, been like shot in kitchens with industrial fans and air conditioners going on, and you've got lights buzzing and the earth loops and the circuitry affect everything. So really, yeah, it's just trying to clean it and make it as minimal without being as noticeable, really. Actually, yeah, I did one today, actually. And I think it was like, it had a flag. There was a flag like in the background with some people on a harbour, and it was windy. And it never bothered me the first time I mixed it, but someone came back and said, "Oh, can you have a look at that again?" and I put on like a plugin, and it got rid of most of the flapping and rustling. So it's kind of every situation's different.
Is that one of those things that once you're aware of it, you can't unhear it?
Yeah. Whenever I do a mix, I try not go into it scientifically. I go into it just as a listener, and I just listen with my soul, my heart, and I'll play it, and I'll watch it, and I try to keep running and not pressing stop. But then I get this voice in the back of my head that says, "You've got to change that. You've got to put a sound effect in. You've got to clean that up." And that niggling won't go away until I press stop and go back. And my hope is I can get through without doing as little as possible, because I'm a lifestyle business owner and I want to do as little as possible. But I do have to go, and I won't rest until something's near perfection, because nothing's ever perfect.
Have you listened to any of the very early episodes of our podcast?
No.
I was going to say this is obviously, as we're going into January now, it was quite a while ago that I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here finished, wasn't it? But it would, I'm imagining, be close to some of those trials for you, like forcing you to listen to some of the sound that we recorded. Let's just set the scene here. Imagine a nice kind of hard kitchen table. And there's a single microphone that Jason and I are sharing. It's nowhere near me. It's nowhere near Jason either. Where it is just in front of the fan, very noisy fan on my laptop. There's a hard window here. There's a hard window here. There's a ceiling here. There's a nice laminate flooring below. Big cavernous space with lots and lots of hard furniture. Occasionally, we even remember to plug the microphone in so that we're not using the built-in webcam microphone.
That's the classic.
Yeah. We once did a sound check. Everything was sounding brilliant. We got halfway through the episode, and I just suddenly made eye contact with Jason and just held up this lead that I'd forgotten to plug in, because we couldn't check the sound without unplugging the mixing desk. So we unplugged the mixing desk. Yep, that sounds brilliant. Let's go on and record the show. At which point, halfway through, I'm like, this mixing desk isn't plugged in.
My favourite is dropping the pen. We're both guilty of that. We both sit with a pen in our hand. I see you waving one then.
I've got one now. Yeah, there it is. I don't need this pen. It's here for I don't know what purpose.
Me too. And all the time dropping it.
Yeah, I think there was an episode we had a guest as well. And he just, I don't know if this will be picked up. I imagine it would, but he just kept doing this, just kept tapping the desk. And I didn't hear it at the time. And of course, when I listened back to the episode, I'm like, oh my God, all I can hear is tappity, tappity, tap. And Lena, who does our sound cleanup for this, is just, right now, he's just having a nightmare because he's gone, right, I'm going to try and clear up the bumpity bumps on your desk now, John. Chewy hasn't even barked yet. He's done really well today. But it is that element, I think, of just almost polishing a turd. You would imagine, I know you said, the harder it is, the more challenge it is for you, and the more you enjoy the challenge. But there must reach a stage where you think, I can't do much with this other than, polishing this turd isn't going to work. I'm going to need a lot of glitter.
Well, that was what I was trying to get to the point without saying it. I just polished a turd, really. But I read this book once called Evergreen Assets.
Speaking of turds, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it, but there was this great little article about podcasts and if you want to make one. And it said about how, if you're going to make a podcast, it should be about the content and consistent. And it doesn't matter if the leads are unplugged and there's barking going on and say, well, so I would probably listen to the first ALB podcast critically and listen to the content.
In which case, I'd like to think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Once you look past the hosts who look like they're absolutely just rabbits caught in a headlight, and welcome to today's show. We're going to have to dig this out, I think, for our 100th episode. So is it true? Because I've heard a little rumor that if the actual content of a particular show is a bit of a turd, there might be a little clue dropped in the audio, a little Easter egg for us eagle-eared viewers that this show might not be worth 45 minutes of our time.
I've heard a rumor. I have, and it might be an old wives' tale. It might be breaking the magician's code. I don't know, because I think it's from a different generation. But I heard of the sound effect called the dubbing dog. And there used to be a code back in, I think probably in the Hollywood days, back in like Hollywood and like that golden era, where they would play a doggy sound effect barking at the beginning of a show to signal that this content might not be worth watching. I don't know if it's true. It's what I've heard, and I never try and do anything like that myself. Now everybody's scanning my programs to see if there's like a dog barking at the beginning. Now, I'm sure if there is a dog barking there, it's in there for a reason. But no, I've heard this rumor, the dubbing dog. So yeah,
so if you go back and you find that episode,
VHSs, and have a listen and see if you can.
Yeah, I'm going to dig out that episode of Happy Days where the Fonz jumps over the shark. I bet you there's barking like in the opening credits.
At least anything post that episode.
So do you think that explains, Jace, why out of the kind of 98 episodes we've recorded so far, there's Chewie barking in about 28 of them?
I think it must be the truth. That must be it.
Yeah, I think Lee knows about this little quirk and he just subtly dropped it in quite a few episodes. Like, I think I've started the dog barking today.
He's not barked yet, though, so hopefully...
No, Lee's going to put it in. He doesn't actually bark at all. He's never barked whilst we've done a live podcast. It's all done post-edit. He's been very good. He's literally right underneath my desk at the moment. He's having a little snooze. He's quite happy. Oh dear. So speaking of quite happy, let's talk about your business journey, because you're a relatively new business owner, aren't you?
Yeah. I think officially 2 years. Properly, probably 9 months if after setting up the limited company. But I started 2 years ago, in October that 2020 officially. Or as when I said goodbye to my old employment and life and jumped off the cliff.
So what happened there then?
How far do you want to go back?
Well, we can go back to 2020 then. So what was the catalyst? Were you on furlough and then?
Someone ate a bat in China, and then there was this thing called a pandemic which shut down the entire world. In 2020, I was working for a local television production company. It was my dream job. I was very, very happy. I was the head of a department. I was a dubbing mixer. I did some other bits, and I've been working there for a decade and a bit. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I was senior, but I was, I've been around and was trying to, I was even bringing in work to the company as well off my own back, which I was quite, chuffed about. And then, we had some things on for the year, and then COVID came along, and, for reasons not known to me, the plug was pulled. And I remember getting that fateful email saying that the company's closing April the 1st, 2020. And it really, really, really punched me in the gut, actually, if I'm being brutally honest, because I had no intention of, I know what to do in my life. I lived and breathed that job for a long time and was very content. And I found it quite hard during the pandemic. It wasn't all sourdough baking and exercising with Joe Wicks for me. It was quite, it wasn't, pleasant, and having that just, it was quite hard. So fortunately though, I got a call from the owner of the company. He's a very nice chap. And he said, basically, I'm going to give you your equipment the studio's yours, go and make a business. So that's what I did. And I did, like, you know, I had a few months to kind of get my ducks in a row. And for a while, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then, you know, I kind of, there was a bit of I had a bit of a light bulb moment. And I think it was like in May or June of that year. And I thought, yeah, I can do this. And I wanted to do quite a lot of things. I basically, at the time, wanted to have my whole old department, but I'll run it, I'll own it.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of just what really I would have been happy with continuity. So I got a slice of it. While, you know, things were kind of sort of opening up back in that summer. I then met, like, kind of, you know, just like getting things together. The big pivotal moment for me was I actually emailed Rick Stein, because I'd worked with him previously on a few series, and I said, look, I want to carry on doing what I'm doing, and I hear you're making a new series. And he kindly got back and put me in touch with the new people, and that became my first gig. And then we got to October when I left after helping, you know, wind up the company, and I jumped straight into mixing Rick Stein's Cornwall. So that was like my first job. It's basically the day after I quit. I was jumped straight into that.
That's not a bad first client, is it? You know, it's like, who should I target for? I know Rick Stein, he'll do.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't have asked for anything better in that regards. Yeah, and then there was another company that I did another series for, called Rock Oyster. Again, I did a series called Simply Raymond Blanc, and that kind of kept me going for my first quarter in the winter. And that was during the you know, the other two lockdowns that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, you know, I rented out my old office during that time and kind of just carried on as normal and just kept my head down and worked and delivered them. I then started to think, well, what else can I do? I've got all this, you know, surrounded by all this technology that some of it I'm inherited and some of it's sitting there doing nothing. And I basically just like threw everything against the wall, really, and sort of got stuck. So I started doing, you know, old videotape transfers.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people during lockdown have been clearing the attics, and they had all these old VHS they found. So I just put an advert on my local Facebook group and said, look, £10 a tape or something like that. And I was inundated with them because everyone wanted them for Christmas. So on top of, you know, this series I had to get out, I was like, you know, doing these tape transfers, and I started getting known for that. And, you know, there's a good bit of money on the side. It wasn't bad for someone who started out. You know, I was getting traction for this. My business at the time, I called it Wind Whistle Studio, just because it was based off you know, there's a woods near, and I kind of at that time, you know, probably like a lot of business owners did, like, thought of the non-significant things like, oh, what should I call it, and what's the logo going to be like, what is my website font going to be, you know, all the things that now I probably don't really care about so much. Anyway, that got me to the new year, and then kind of it sort of fell flat for a bit. I got asked to do another series of Rick, but that wasn't to the summer. So I kind of just like worked out what I could do, and I looked into, well, maybe I can do some podcast recording. I got myself a mobile recording studio. But one thing I did do was I actually started cold emailing, because I'm in like desperation mode at this point because I don't know what I'm really doing. But with that, you know, I helped to kind of expand my network a bit, and I managed to land some jobs doing the One Show, doing they show all the video clips. They're called VTs in telly. So I did some of them, and then Rick, and then I had this new client, and they're a really good bunch of people, and they were giving me some things. And that probably takes us to when I had a cup of coffee with you, actually. It's probably then we get, looking back at it. And then, we had our first meeting. It was introduced by Nick, a mutual friend. And you kind of, I think our chat, you kind of opened my eyes a bit, because to that point, I lately didn't know what I was doing, really. I was just jumping from one thing to the next, just trying to survive, because I just didn't really want to do anything else. And I wasn't really doing completely what I wanted to. So we had a chat, and you gave me your book, and I went and read it. And then I kind of got what you meant by I never heard the term lifestyle business, because you hear, I was calling myself a startup, because I didn't, now I think of a startup and I think of someone who wants and that's probably for reading your book, like saying, I want a technology company and going to take out loads of loans and, go and have lots of board of directors. But then I realized, well, I have been doing a lifestyle business, because I've been trying to fund my lifestyle, trying to fund my way of living. I mean, the great thing, about having this lifestyle business is that I know, there are some perks to it, and I like to have more of them. So in a way, I started to, I kind of just carried on doing it and got some more clients, and then got to this year, and then joined the 1% Club and kind of start to get my head down. And I think that's when things kind of then we hit a bit of a bull run, if you could put it in those sort of terms, really.
A bull run. Yeah, we kind of got a bit strategic, I think, didn't we? Because I think, when we first met and we had that coffee, and kind of you described what you were doing. And even just now, I'd imagine listeners might be making similar connections, because they will have heard, Rick Stein, Raymond Blanc, The One Show, and doing things for a tenner a tape, and code calling people to go and do a mobile podcast whereby you'll drive to their house, set up, record
we don't
the
talk
podcast.
About the mobile podcast.
No, I'd like to hear what's involved in this, and how much money you're going to make out of doing this.
I know, maybe 50 quid.
My first recollection was "I'll do it" is what I wrote down just now, and from what John's just said as well, it's kind of like I'll do it, I'll do whatever it is, I'll do that, I can do that.
Yeah, it was kind of that. It was just kind of, I mean, at that time, and I do say this to people, I mean, it's awful to lose a job, especially a job you've loved and done for years and know nothing else really. But to lose a job, I won't swear, but to lose a job in a pandemic was awful. It was awful, because I couldn't go out and see anyone. I couldn't go see my parents, for instance, and cry at their table. I couldn't, all I had was online. I even did a job interview. Thank you, by the way, for not hiring me, because that would have, just want to say that I was always going to email you to thank you, but I just want to get it off my chest. To the person who didn't hire me, thank you for that. It's maybe a lot of money. It's just really hard. Just like society shut down, and I felt in limbo for months. Then when things started opening, it still wasn't open for a while. I just wanted to do anything that was thrown on me, just took any challenge, any opportunity, just because it kind of had a connection to what I wanted to do, a connection to my old life in a degree. In some cases, it wasn't even about how do I manage my time properly or how I earn enough money, just wanted to do it. But I think when I met you guys, I think you may have hit me with a wet kipper. like kind of giving me a bit of a reality check and kind of let's move to the next stage now, sort of thing.
And I think it is that next stage, because we quite often say, look, when you're first starting out in business, you do just say yes to everything. Someone will say, can you do this? Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. And you just say yes to every opportunity that comes your way, because you don't know where your next opportunity is coming from. And you want to put food on the table. You want to make sure that you can keep the lights on next month. So you say yes to everything.
Yeah.
But if you're still doing that after 18 months, 2 years of running a business, suddenly you probably shouldn't be saying yes to everything. And we've talked about this, I think, on a few podcasts now, about the evolution of this saying yes to everything, and then ultimately reaching the point whereby no is your default answer. And I believe we gave you a little bit of a framework, a simple question that many regular listeners of the AOB podcast will have heard before, that will help you decide whether something is worth doing for you or not.
Shall I give you a hell yeah?
I think you can give us a hell yeah. We've never heard it in the Stone Code context before.
I'm not doing it in a Texan voice. Oh, hell yeah. I can't do it.
Was that Texan, was it?
No, that was a really unenthusiastic impression of him. But Stone Cold is up there as one of my heroes growing up. So
yeah. Any bald man that wears a waistcoat and no shirt and just pours more beer over himself than he manages to get in his mouth is a hero of mine.
When he drives a monster truck down and he sprayed everyone with beer in the ring, that was,
Absolutely. But anyway, so the concept is, for those who are new to the podcast, the hell yeah or no concept. It's a book by Derek Sivers. It's the concept that if you are considering an opportunity, a prospect, a job interview, anything like this, and your reaction, your initial gut reaction is not hell yeah, then it should be a no. It should automatically be a no. And this is where that one question evolves with you. So when you first start your business and someone says, can you, transfer some VHS tapes onto DVD for a tenner, please? And you go, a tenner, that pays for my food tonight. Hell yeah, I'll do that. But 18 months later, someone offers you the same job. It's no longer a hell yeah, because, well, I've got Rick Stein on the other line at the moment. I've got Rick Stein on one line. I've got Raymond Blanc on the other line. I've got the one show producers on some third line here, but I can't answer them right now because I'm too busy earning myself a tenner. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold says so. See, the only hardcore WWF fans are going to, and I said WWF, not WWE. That's the old school.
But they got the F out. I didn't watch it.
No, absolutely. That's because we're the Generation X, you see. Anyway, we're not talking wrestling. We're not here to talk wrestling, honestly.
I'd rather.
See, Jason doesn't know what we're talking about now. He's like, no idea. Hulk Hogan.
Was Jason more of a WCW guy?
I saw these letters. I have no idea what they mean. Is that like BBC? I don't know what about.
Who was your favourite wrestler growing up, Jason?
Wrestler?
And you're not allowed to say Giant Haystacks.
No, I was never going to say him because he's a baddie, isn't he? It was always Big Daddy. I always go for Big Daddy. Not
you like
Giant
a bit of Shirley, do you?
Surely you can't be serious. I can be. Yeah. I was always a team daddy. That was me.
Yeah. So how has that hell yeah or no framework evolved in your time with the 1% Club then, Tom? Because you've been in 18 months now?
I was one of the March.
You're one of this year's, weren't you?
Yeah.
Sorry, one of last year's.
Like we're doing this
because this is January, remember? But this is January. We're putting this out.
Yeah. Well, I've been in 18 months plus 2 months, so 20 months. No, not 18 months. Oh, I don't know.
It's coming up to your first year with us.
I've been in almost a year. I've been in almost a year now. Is that good?
That's it. Fantastic. So how's that evolved over that year?
Yeah. I would say that if someone had told me where I am now, last year, I would have kind of no way. I would have been disbelief. It's probably, and yeah, I don't want to do the whole trumpet blowing and sales pitch, but
No, please do.
Okay, I will then. But you know, signing up with you guys really it just gave me the focus and put me on the right path. And I don't think I really had a path until that point. And I try and do everything you say, or we try and stick to the plans. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, yeah, it's gone from good to great, because there's always greater than that, I'm sure.
So you're just shoehorning book titles in there just to try and button me up, aren't you?
Good to great.
That's because you're built to last, you see. That's what it is. You know all about turning the flywheel. There's all sorts of...
I've got a confession to make. I saw everyone talk about the flywheel, and I still haven't had a moment to watch it yet. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to that one.
That's a good thing.
Is it?
Because you tend to take these books and you do some really good stuff with it. And the Pumpkin Plan is one of those books that, again, you kind of read. We've kind of talked about it in the group. You read it. You've taken the blueprints from what it was to tell you to do, and in fact, you applied hell yeah to the Pumpkin Plan and came up with your dream list and working the magic with dreams. And when we kind of first talked about that principle and what the idea is about that, it was like, now this is a long-term thing. You're only looking to get one or two of these clients in a year, probably. You're going to be talking to them, you're identifying them, you're going to work them, you're going to talk to them and things and build that relationship, that know, like, and trust, work those things through. And this is going to take you this is a long-term strategy. We're going to take that. But that's not quite how it worked, was it?
No, I thought it took about 2 weeks. Like, at least I have one of them, and then it kind of compounded a bit. The compound effect.
So how did it work for you? I mean, yeah, obviously I've just said a few words, dream list and hell yeah and that kind of stuff, but what did that look like for you?
I mean, if I just rewind to after we joined, we had a few meetings, and I was still like trying to get the gist of what I wanted to do. I think I had a light bulb moment, and it was, can I start with the pumpkins?
Yeah.
Let's start with the pumpkins then. So at that point, I was still saying yes to things which I should have said no to. And it's funny now, like, you look at the language, what's all this pumpkin talk and pink flamingo talk and things? And then, we started talking about pumpkins, and I was doing, sorry, I'm going to digress a bit. When I started all this, I wanted to be a music engineer. I didn't know what dummy mixer was when I first got into sound. So I kind of like revisited doing music, and I used to get on my website, get inquiries all the time because there's no studios like where we live. And I did some music jobs, which are kind of taking me away from what I should be doing. And I had one particular job, I'm just going to call it the rotten pumpkin. And I kind of got the concept of, I can say no to this. I don't have to carry on doing this. This isn't what I want to do. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not making, the money I want to, because music isn't, compared to, like the media and, broadcast industry, it's not, it's not, I don't think I align with it. So I decided to throw my rotten pumpkin away. And I think that post might have even sealed me 1% of the month award, actually, for that one. But then I started thinking about the whole pumpkin thing, and I read the book. It's probably one of the most helpful books I've read since starting this. And then I thought, well, I'm one guy, and I only need so many clients in my life. I don't need to say yes to everything. So why don't I just focus on some big fat pumpkins, some really good, and for people who don't speak in the 1% language, some really good clients that I want to work with, people that I know that what I do, the service I do, my hedgehog, what I do is going to be what they want, and I will be paid for it. So then, I basically just shifted everything, and it's kind of what I've been doing really since. It's just I shifted to like the one kind of thing I know that I'm good at and what I think the market demands from me, which is being a dubbing mixer. Obviously, I have another layer with my business partner, Rich, and we focus on final post-production, which is my job and his job, which he is an online editor, which he basically does the equivalent of what I do, but with the picture side of things. And we focus, part of the jobs, part of the business is mine and his, and we just combine our resources. But fundamentally, I'm just focusing in one industry now, one type of client, and one kind of job I know I can do and do it well. So that's kind of the pumpkins. And I've just been, and now the pumpkin philosophy probably, I'd say it's not just even about calling my pumpkins clients or my clients pumpkins. The pumpkin, it's more of a philosophy, is I've got to sometimes, get my hands dirty and weed out all the rotten pumpkins or the mediocre pumpkins, like, let go of clients and opportunities that would have been my hell yeah once, but aren't now. And just prune and focus, and the way I market set myself is it's a concept really. And I find it very hard to articulate, but I think if you get to that point, if you read the book, you'll kind of get that thinking of it. That's kind of a roundabout way to what we talk about the dream list. I wanted to work with a few different clients, some that when I approach this dream list, I think I also include leads as well. I don't just include like, I want to work for whatever company. Sometimes that works, as I found out, but I've also think of how I got a bit of a warm lead to him, and I wrote them all down, and I kind of filtered out what ones I do. And if I've got a connection to them through people, or it's just, thanks to Jason, really, give me the advice to say what to do, and I just started contacting them, and some of these dream lists have now gone from the dream list to the pumpkin list. And a lot of it happened quite quickly, and then it led on to other opportunities from there, which some things were not anticipated at all. So then it makes you think, oh, yeah, I think hopefully that makes some sense. We talk about pumpkins and flamingos and hedgehogs and flywheels and
there's a lot of code words, isn't there? But they're all taken from different books. So the pumpkin plan was Mike Michalowicz, wasn't it? That's where that was come from. Hedgehog book, where was that, John?
That's good to great. Jim Collins.
Good to great, Jim Collins. There you go. There's a few in there. We look at people's frameworks, don't we? That's the kind of thing, and then we kind of amalgamate them to make them work for you, and for you in particular in the industry that you are in, is that actually people get to know exactly what you're about very quickly because you've got credits and everything to your name, and everyone can kind of see that. In any business, that can be the same kind of thing. As soon as people start knowing who you are and what you're about, and that you're an expert in the thing that they're looking for, it makes it nice and easy. So when you can kind of draw up that dream list of people that you really, really would like to work with, it's then all a case of them. Who are you? I know who you are. I can find out about you. That's fantastic. Yeah, let's do some business. And yeah, it worked faster than I ever thought it was going to. And I know when we talked about it, it was like, this is a long-term thing. You're going to do these other stuff in the meantime, but we're going to, what you really want to be doing is this. And it's a lot, it's a long-term project. Then I think, you might have been 2 weeks. You went, I've totally got to land it. It's like, what? That was like, yeah, absolutely fantastic. That it worked out really well for you, which is kind of made up for you.
Yeah. I think it's good. Like you said, when I thought of a dream list, I thought 100 companies. You said just to pick 10, and 10 all of a sudden makes it much more manageable and much more easier to digest, and you can focus more on these 10. And you say, because I had a spreadsheet of lots of different companies and things before. Like even when I started, I wrote people down. But then just choosing like the people that you feel you've got an opportunity with, and also it's called a dream list. I put a few, I put a couple dream ones in there, and I feel like this is a long-term strategy. It's not gonna take a day. I mean, yeah, okay, I got one within 2 weeks, but still ones that I'm building relationships with now, and these things are long term. But if anything, like joining the 1% club, it just gave me. I just feel more focused now than I've probably ever been for a long time. I feel like there is a goal and there's an objective, and there is, as I continue to, I'm nicking your phrase, push Treacle up a hill, it's going to get to the top of one hill, and then there'll be another mountain beyond it, but I'll keep going.
There is. We've got a plan, and we are sticking to the plan, aren't we?
Yeah,
mostly.
I feel like and the great thing is, I don't think I'm as bad now, but you do, and you call it shiny toy syndrome, don't you? If I try not to deviate from my plan so much, and I try not to get bogged down by all the glossy stuff. I call it meat and potatoes. I just focus on them really now. And if I ever feel like I'm going up there, it's nice to know that you can pull me back a bit and say, yeah, you could do list. Usually ends up on the won't do list, but it's it's good. Like, you keep me focused. And I mean, one thing I felt, I've just started this new 90-day plan recently. It's basically a repeat of what I've already done, but I know what I did worked. So why don't I try it again? And it's, believe it or not, it started working already. So
yeah. So some of the best plans literally are that. It's like, well, actually, this last 90-day plan worked like gangbusters. So let's do the same again. Let's not reinvent the wheel. We don't need to create busyness. We don't. I mean, I think, what was the quote you said earlier? I want to do as little as possible. I wrote that down because I love that quote, because you want to be as effective as possible. You want to, I don't know, run to the ring, jump in, do your Stone Cold Stunner, and get the hell out of there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you can't be doing a 35-minute match.
No, I'm not doing an Ironman.
Oh god, Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
What was that, about an hour and a half?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, not a chance.
I don't know what it is now. They do like loads of them now.
One of the reasons, just obviously, we were talking about dream lists just now. One of the reasons I think that works very, very well for an industry like yours is when people think about marketing, they think, right, I need to market to the masses. And we're always saying, no, niche down. But then we're saying, look, get your avatar, find out who you're marketing to. And then we end up saying, okay, well, in general, they're between 30 and 45 years of age. They tend to be a middle manager. They might read Daily Express. They might watch this TV show. Their income is between this level and this level. We're trying to guess who this person is. When you've got a dream list of 10 people, you know who they are. And so I am marketing to Debbie. She is the account manager at this company. This is where she lives. This is what she does. This is what keeps her awake at night. This is how I can help Debbie to achieve what Debbie wants to achieve. That makes it so much easier to market to Debbie, because you know her and you know that you can help her and make a difference and improve her life and solve her problems, as opposed to some random avatar that might include Debbie, but also includes 20,000 other people who might meet the criteria. And that dream list, it just makes it so much easier, because if you identify Debbie as your dream client, you can just market to Debbie, and you can have more kind of strategic, planned follow-up. outreach that actually speaks to her and the problems that she faces, as opposed to, dear prospect, let me introduce you to what I do and try and convince you that you want it.
I suppose that's where I have an advantage, because like I don't have to worry. And yes, there was a time I did think about it, but I don't have to worry about things like Facebook ads, for instance, and casting a big net, and only to get nothing, because I know that's not where that's not my tribe. That's not. I know who I need to go to. I know the kind of roles people are in. I know kind of their problems that they're facing. And that's why, apart from my website, which I've kind of, and that has recently, in fact, it generates me leads, but it's very niche, it's very fine-tuned. That's why I run a company that specialises in final post-production for factual content. It's quite a wordful, but it's very filtered. It's very filtered, isn't it? I'm going for a very particular, I'm going for a very particular demographic.
Within the 1% Club, when we had the coaching call a month or two ago around helping people to find their avatar, we used you as a case study for that exact reason, because that line, almost every word narrows your target market. So can you just repeat that line again?
I specialise in final post-production services for factual content.
There you go.
Know what it means?
Not a clue. It's Cash in the Attic, isn't it? It's the one show. It's Rick Stein. But every line of that, it's the post-production, it's the factual content, because you've done post-production for content that isn't factual. You've done.
I'll still do some. But...
Yeah, you've done some live mixing. You don't particularly enjoy live mixing, I think, do you?
No, not at all.
So these are all areas that, if we go back to where we started with the hell yeah or no, these are all areas you could work and you could earn some money doing this, but it's not your hell yeah. You've identified your hell yeah is, and I apologize to the visual, the auditory listeners of the podcast, but I am going to make a visual element here. It is that funnel, because every step you narrow your target market down to factual TV shows. And I think we actually had factual series based in there at one point. You're not interested in one-off documentaries so much as you are. There's a series of 24 episodes.
I will do them. Obviously, the more the merrier, because 10 shows is better than one show, as in the workload. But my thresholds for other things is higher. I mean, if there's an I will work outside that sphere, but it's not I don't go looking for it, if that makes sense.
It's not your hedgehog.
If it's a hell yeah, I'll do it. But if it's not, then
absolutely. And that's the thing, is it's knowing nice where your hell yeah kind of threshold lies, and that may vary, because if your diary is looking a little bit sparse over the coming months, then your threshold for hell yeah might come down a little bit. Like, okay, yeah, I'll take that work that 2 months ago I would have said no to. I know we had a conversation a few months back about a hell yeah opportunity that you just didn't have capacity for. No. So we said, actually, well, that's not a hell yeah then, because a hell yeah is I make space for this. I sack someone else off and I bring this client in. Yeah. Therefore, the hell yeah threshold is incredibly high. So I think we had to go back to what would have been, like, even 3 months earlier would have been a proper dream job, and say, really sorry, but I don't want to let you down. I don't want to do it as a rush job. I don't want to squeeze you in and do it half-assed. I want to do the best job possible for you. Therefore, I'm going to have to say no.
Yeah.
And how hard was that?
That hurt. But I've had a bit of experience turning down some other jobs before, which I probably wouldn't have done before then, So now I look at it and think, I kind of look at the greater good, and like, yeah, I mean, you summed that up really. It was that one was a dream, actually. I still think about it. Just really wanted to do it, but like you said, I just wouldn't have had the capacity. And is it better to be busier and, let them down gently like that?
Yeah.
But if anything, though, I do try and maintain a relationship with that person, and maybe an opportunity will come again.
Yeah. The example I always think of is I think it's Jay Abraham talks about, you are their trusted advisor, and if they're going to trust you to do the best job possible, then actually you owe it to them at that point to say, I can't do the quality of work that you need in the time scale you need it. As your trusted advisor, I have to tell you, I'm not going to half-arse it. So I'm going to have to say no. And that I completely get that hurts, but you've done the right thing by them and by you.
Yeah.
Because you could have squeezed it in and burnt out.
Yeah.
Or you could have cut some corners, or you could have, upset one of your smaller pumpkins. But you stuck to your principles and you did the right thing, I think, by the client.
I think the other thing as well is that I do tell myself is my name is on the credits of these shows.
Yeah.
And if something goes out, I want to know that I've at least done the best job I can. It's
because we all know that it's only when there's problems with it that someone pauses the credit to go, right, who do I send this email to?
Who do I complain used the wrong Land Rover sound or whatever?
One thing I want to touch on just before we wrap up, and we're going to wrap up very soon, is that I see you most weeks, or speak to you most weeks, and one thing that I think I've been giving quite recently, and probably over the last 2 or 3 months, is permission for you to have some white space in your diary. And we talked capacity. John's mentioned capacity just now, and the freelancer in you says, and we talked about that, I'll do it, I'll take it on, I'll do it. And I know John's been talking about that in the capacity, and kind of like, and we've talked about burnout a little bit. I know you've had some issues with that in the past as well, and we've talked about that. And I think I've been giving you lots of permission to have some free space, and some white space, like we call it in the diary, isn't it? How's that been working of late for you?
Good. Well, last Christmas, wink wink, I managed to get quite a bit of white space in. And I took off from the middle of December right through to the new year, wink wink, and it worked out really well. So I mean, and what I'm doing now is like my number one priority, which I'm well into a month and a bit now, so I've lost a lot of weight already, is that I'm actually putting health as my main goal. And I'm getting out and I'm going for a walk every day, religiously trying to stick to that. And that gives me, even if I've got a job that's a lot of pressure, I do try and take a pause and get out and just, walk down the woods for a few miles. I think that helps me, and try not, I'll only work weekends if it's a hell yeah. But I have goals to really try and contain that. The white space is something that's creeping into my life, but not as a not as a negative. It's more of a positive, because the things that I'm doing have really paid off to get to that point.
Is that permission, isn't it? Because you feel guilty because I should be working, I should be doing something else, I should be hustling, I should be doing something else. We're actually taking that breather, going on going whatever it is your thing. And I know paddleboarding is in the summer, but that sort of stuff is what you like to do. Having given yourself permission to have that time off, if you like, is integral. And you, like probably about 30% of our 1%ers have got health there as one of their either number one or number two goes for the quarter kind of thing. And I love that about the group as well, is actually we don't make as much difference in your health life, if you like, as we do in your business. And I really like that as well. Last question then, thank you, John. Is that we're going to what is that? Oh yeah, we always ask.
It's the one we ask every single episode.
What does an ambitious lifestyle business mean for you? We are the ALB podcast. That's what we're about. So yeah, what does the ambitious lifestyle business look like for you?
I have a pre-prepared answer.
Have you?
I don't. No. An ambitious lifestyle business is something that really was, like I said, only brought to my attention because I thought a business meant you have to hustle, you have to get up at 5 a.m. and, say your prayers and drink your milk, do yoga for 6 hours and then hustle for 24 hours and read 100 books in a week.
I think it was say your prayers and take your vitamins was what you were looking for.
I'd rather drink the beer, actually. No, an ambitious lifestyle business is for me making the business focus around me and my, what I want to do. It aligns with my values and it provides me an income doing, what is my passion, which is sound. The business works for me. I don't work for the business. It probably sums it up, I think, and that's where I feel like I'm getting 1% closer to that every week.
Oh, I love it.
And that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. Oh, I love it, mate. I love it. Are you going to be joining us for our live edition of the ALB podcast, which is our 100th one?
Sorry, like 101.
I was just going to come back to the advert John did at the beginning, to be honest, but it's going to fall on its face. Thanks very much. Yeah, you thought your job was done then with the last question, didn't you?
Checked out. Completely honest, like, right, I've done my Stone Cold reference. I've got my mic drop moment.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well,
thank you very much for having me. It's been an honour, and thank you both for. And in all seriousness, thank you both, because you have really you came at the right point in this journey, and you've really given me the direction I need. And what you guys do for everyone in that group is incredible, and it's such a great community. And even though we're all from different walks of life and different businesses, I feel like there is some sort of there is a shared goal and a shared, we all have our own little community, really. Yeah.
And it's fab you're part of it.
Fantastic. No, thank you, Tom. Really, really appreciate that. Great to see you. And yeah, hopefully see you all for the 100th episode. So do head to bigidea.co.uk/100 to register for this live recording. I'm not petrified in any way that this is just all going to go horribly wrong and that all the tech's going to abandon us and go wrong. But it's okay, because we're going to have Tom on hand to polish up the audio afterwards, and we'll just re-record it over it, shall we?
Or I don't do live sound.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, we'll do it post-production. What we'll do, we'll just get some dog barking at the beginning of the episode. It'll be fine. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for coming, listening, etc. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.